Today we are making one of my all-time favorite tagines. This is a Moroccan okra stew with a super rich tomatoey broth. Whether you've never had okra before or you're a big fan, this is the recipe for you. So we're starting in the base of our tagine or Dutch oven with our olive oil. I've made this recipe using both the Dutch oven or just like a traditional pot, and it works great. But if you do have a tagine, definitely use it. So once the oil is warm, we are adding in 1 diced yellow onion and some garlic. I use 6 cloves, but I recommend always with garlic, just measure with your heart. So once all of that is coated in the oil, we're going to go ahead and add in our meat. I'm using 2 pounds of a beef chuck roast here with the fat trimmed off, but you can also use lamb shoulder or even stew meat will work here. And we are just adding this into the base of the tagine. As you can see, I'm kind of moving the onions out of the way just so that that meat can have direct contact with the base of our pot, because the goal here is to go ahead and get a browning on all sides of that meat. So just nestle all of your pieces in there, making sure that they are touching and making direct contact with the pot. And then we're going to go in with our spices. I'm using a blend of salt, pepper, ginger, and turmeric. And I just like to mix them all together before I sprinkle them over the meat. Now, if you feel like this is too much flavor, too much spice for you and your family, you can certainly dial it back. But I do believe the spices are a huge part of what gives the broth that incredible flavor. So do what you see fit here. And then, like I said before, we are just browning this meat all around. I just sprinkle the spices over top, and then as I'm browning the meat all around, they get evenly distributed. So we're just turning this meat every couple minutes just to make sure, again, it is brown everywhere before we move on to the next step. If you're using a tagine and you're worried about the heat over the stovetop, you can use a diffuser. I believe mine is a cast iron diffuser, and it just gives you an extra layer of protection for your pot. Next, we are adding in our tomato sauce. This is a just very, very simple tomato sauce. We just blend it up for Roma tomatoes. If you're in a hurry, of course, you could just use a can of tomatoes, but the fresh tomatoes really do add a layer of flavor that I think is important here. Then we are adding in our fresh herbs. We've got some minced cilantro and parsley, and we're just gently mixing this all together just to get those herbs incorporated with the sauce and the onions and just get everything married together, because this is our sauce. And if you've ever had a stew or a tagine, you know that the sauce is arguably the most important part. So we're just going to cook this down for a couple minutes before adding our frozen okra directly over top. Then we will cover this and stew it on low for about an hour or until the meat is fork tender. And from there, your tagine is all done. It's traditional to serve this with bread and an assortment of Moroccan side salads, but you can also serve it over rice or couscous and top with minced parsley. I hope you give this family recipe a try and let me know what you think in the comments. Bismillah, and I will see you next time.